Good evening, and welcome to tonight's gentle journey into the bayous of Louisiana, where magic dances on moonlit waters and love grows as slowly and sweetly as honey from a cypress tree. Tonight, we're going to drift away with a story that's been whispered through the Spanish moss for generations, a tale of two hearts finding their way to each other through patience, kindness, and the quiet magic that lives in everyday moments. Before we begin, take a moment to settle into your most comfortable position. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Feel your breathing slow and deepen. Tonight's story is designed to carry you gently into peaceful sleep, so there's no need to follow every detail or remember every word. Simply let the images wash over you like warm bayou water, soft and soothing. Our story begins not with grand adventures or dramatic proclamations, but with the simple, steady rhythm of daily life in New Orleans, where the air always carries the scent of magnolias and the promise of something wonderful just around the corner. This is a story about Tiana, whose hands were always busy creating something beautiful, and Prince Naveen, who was learning that the most precious things in life cannot be rushed or bought, only cultivated with care and time. The morning sun filtered through the lace curtains of Tiana's restaurant, casting gentle shadows that danced across the polished wooden floors like sleepy butterflies. She moved through her kitchen with the practiced grace of someone who had found her true calling, her movements as smooth and rhythmic as the jazz that drifted up from the street below. Every morning began the same way, with the careful preparation of ingredients, the gentle warming of cast iron pans, and the quiet satisfaction of creating something that would bring joy to others. Prince Naveen had taken to arriving early, before the restaurant opened to the public, when the morning light was still soft and golden. He would sit at the small table near the kitchen window, watching Tiana work with the kind of peaceful attention that comes from having nowhere else to be and nothing else to want. These moments had become precious to both of them, a gentle routine that anchored their days in something deeper than words. Tiana would hum softly as she worked, melodies that seemed to rise naturally from the rhythm of her cooking. The sound wrapped around Naveen like a warm blanket, and he found himself humming along, their voices blending in harmonies that neither had planned, but both somehow knew. Sometimes she would catch him watching her, and they would share a smile that said everything and nothing, comfortable in the growing familiarity between them. The restaurant itself had become a haven of warmth and welcome. Regular customers knew they could count on finding not just delicious food, but a moment of peace in their busy lives. Tiana had a way of making everyone feel like family, remembering their favorite dishes, asking about their children, listening to their stories with genuine interest. Naveen watched her with growing admiration, seeing how naturally kindness flowed from her, how effortlessly she created a space where people felt valued and cared for. As the days passed into weeks, their conversations grew longer and deeper. Naveen would tell her stories of his travels, but not the grand adventures he once might have boasted about. Instead, he spoke of quiet moments, a sunrise over distant mountains, the taste of bread shared with strangers who became friends, the way music sounded different in each new place he visited. Tiana would share her dreams for the restaurant, her hopes for the community, the small victories that made each day meaningful. They discovered they both loved the early morning hours, when the world was still soft with sleep and full of possibility. Sometimes Naveen would arrive to find Tiana already in the garden, behind the restaurant, tending to the herbs and vegetables she grew for her cooking. He would join her without words, helping to water the plants or harvest what was ready. Their hands would brush as they worked, sending gentle warmth up their arms, but neither rushed to name what was growing between them. The garden became their secret sanctuary, surrounded by tomato plants, heavy with fruit, and herbs that released their fragrance at the gentlest touch. They could talk about anything or nothing at all. Tiana showed Naveen how to tell when the okra was ready to pick, how to encourage the mint to grow full and lush. He learned that growing things required patience, consistency, and faith that what you planted would flourish in its own time. One particularly peaceful morning, as they sat on the small bench Naveen had built beneath the old magnolia tree, Tiana found herself watching the way the dappled sunlight played across his face. He had changed since those first days, grown quieter in some ways, more thoughtful. The restless energy that once seemed to drive him had settled into something deeper, more grounded. She realized that somewhere along the way, without her quite noticing, he had begun to feel like home. Naveen, for his part, had discovered the joy of simple routines, the pleasure of knowing that each morning would bring the scent of Tiana's coffee, the sound of her laughter, the comfortable rhythm of working alongside someone who understood the value of small, perfect moments. He had once thought happiness meant constant excitement, new experiences, the thrill of the unknown. Now, he understood that true contentment could be found in the repetition of meaningful days, in the deepening of familiar joys. Their friends and customers began to notice the change in both of them. Tiana smiled more easily. Her laughter came more frequently. There was a lightness in her step that hadn't been there before, a sense of completion that seemed to radiate from her very presence. Naveen, meanwhile, had lost the slightly desperate edge that once marked his pursuit of pleasure. He moved with purpose now, his actions guided not by whim, but by genuine care for the people and place he had come to love. The restaurant thrived under their shared attention. Tiana's cooking had always been excellent, but now it seemed to carry an extra warmth, a depth of flavor that came from a heart full of joy. Naveen proved to have an unexpected talent for making guests feel welcome. His natural charm now seasoned with genuine interest in others. Together, they created an atmosphere that drew people in and made them reluctant to leave. Evening became their favorite time. After the last customer had gone and the kitchen was clean, they would sit together on the restaurant's small balcony, watching the lights come on across the city. The sounds of New Orleans would drift up to them. Jazz music from distant clubs, the gentle splash of paddle wheels on the river, the soft conversations of people walking home through the warm night air. These quiet hours were when they felt closest, when words seemed less necessary than the simple comfort of being together. Sometimes Tiana would rest her head against Naveen's shoulder, feeling the steady rhythm of his breathing, the solid warmth of his presence. Sometimes he would take her hand, marveling at the way their fingers fit together so perfectly, as if they had been designed for this exact purpose. They spoke of the future in gentle, tentative terms, dreams that included each other, plans that assumed they would continue to share their days. Neither rushed to make grand declarations or demand promises. They had learned that the best things grow slowly, naturally, like the plants in their garden, strong roots developing deep beneath the surface long before the first flowers appear. The city around them seemed to approve of their quiet romance. Street musicians would play especially sweet melodies when they passed. The old women who sold flowers in the market would press extra blooms into Naveen's hands with knowing smiles. Even the Spanish moss in the ancient oaks seemed to whisper encouragement as they walked beneath the spreading branches. Branches. One evening, as the last traces of sunset painted the sky in shades of lavender and gold, Tiana and Naveen found themselves working side by side in the restaurant's kitchen, preparing for the next day. The familiar rhythm of their movements had become a dance they performed without thinking, each knowing instinctively when to step forward or back, when to pass ingredients or utensils. The kitchen filled with the gentle sounds of preparation, the soft chop of vegetables, the quiet bubble of stocks simmering on the stove. Naveen had been learning to cook under Tiana's patient guidance, his initial clumsy attempts gradually giving way to genuine skill. Tonight, he was carefully julienning carrots while Tiana prepared her famous gumbo base, stirring the roux with the slow, meditative motions passed down through generations of Louisiana cooks. The rich, nutty aroma filled the air like incense, creating a cocoon of warmth and comfort around them. As they worked, Tiana began to tell Naveen about her grandmother's recipes, stories that had been woven into every dish like secret ingredients. She spoke of Sunday dinners that lasted for hours, of family gatherings where food was love made visible, of traditions that connected her to something larger than herself. Her voice carried the gentle cadence of someone sharing sacred things, and Naveen listened with the reverence of someone who understood he was being trusted with treasures. The restaurant had begun to feel different to both of them, transformed from simply a place of business into something more like a home. Every corner held memories now. Every table had witnessed moments of connection. The morning light fell differently through the windows, warmer somehow, as if the building itself had learned to embrace the love growing within its walls. Customers often commented on the atmosphere, saying the place felt blessed, though they couldn't quite put their finger on why. During the quiet afternoon hours, when the lunch crowd had departed and dinner service was still hours away, Tiana and Naveen had taken to exploring the neighborhoods around the restaurant. They would walk slowly through the French Quarter, stopping to admire the intricate ironwork of balconies, listening to street performers whose music seemed to follow them like a soundtrack to their developing love story. These walks had no destination, no schedule, just the simple pleasure of discovering their city together. Naveen had begun to see New Orleans through Tiana's eyes, noticing details he had previously overlooked. The way morning glories climbed the sides of weathered buildings, transforming decay into beauty. The gentle courtesy between neighbors who had known each other for decades. The rhythm of daily life that moved like a slow river, unhurried but always flowing forward. He found himself falling in love, not just with Tiana, but with the entire world she had shown him. Their conversations had evolved beyond the polite exchanges of new acquaintances into something deeper and more intimate. They could speak for hours about seemingly simple things. The way light changed throughout the day, the stories behind old buildings, the dreams that visited them in sleep. Sometimes they would sit in comfortable silence, each lost in their own thoughts, but somehow still connected, like two instruments playing a harmony that required no conscious effort. The restaurant's regular customers had become invested in their quiet romance, offering gentle encouragement and knowing smiles. Mrs. Boudreau, who came in every Tuesday for lunch, would pat Tiana's hand and tell her she had never seen her look so happy. Old Mr. Thibodeau would wink at Naveen and comment on how much more relaxed he seemed, how the restless energy that once surrounded him had settled into something more peaceful and grounded. Children who visited the restaurant seemed particularly drawn to the gentle magic that surrounded Tiana and Naveen. They would watch with wide eyes as the couple moved together, sensing something special without understanding exactly what it was. Some of the younger ones would ask if Tiana and Naveen were married. Their innocent questions met with soft laughter and gentle deflections that somehow managed to neither confirm nor deny the possibility. The seasons began to change around them. Summer's heavy heat giving way to autumn's gentle coolness. The garden behind the restaurant transformed, some plants finishing their cycles, while others prepared for cooler weather. Tiana and Naveen worked together to harvest the last tomatoes, to plant herbs that would thrive in the milder months ahead. Their hands had grown familiar with this shared work, their movements synchronized in ways that spoke of deep understanding. Evening jazz concerts in the park became a regular part of their routine. They would close the restaurant and walk hand in hand to Congo Square, where musicians gathered to play the music that lived in the city's very soul. They would sit on blankets spread on the grass, Tiana's head resting against Naveen's shoulder, both of them swaying gently to rhythms that seemed to pulse through the ground itself. The music wrapped around them like a blessing, each note carrying them deeper into the peaceful trance of contentment. On particularly quiet nights, when the restaurant was closed and the city had settled into its gentle evening rhythm, they would climb to the roof of the building and look out over the lights of their neighborhood. The view wasn't spectacular, no grand vistas or famous landmarks, just the comfortable sight of home, of a place where they belonged. From up there, they could see the lives of their neighbors unfolding in lit windows, families gathering for dinner, children being tucked into bed, the endless cycle of ordinary moments that made up a life well lived. Naveen had begun to understand that true luxury wasn't found in grand gestures or expensive things, but in the wealth of small pleasures shared with someone who mattered. The taste of Tiana's coffee in the morning, the sound of her humming while she worked, the way she would reach for his hand without looking, trusting it would be there. These moments had become more precious to him than any treasure he had ever possessed. Tiana, meanwhile, had discovered that love didn't require sacrifice of dreams, but rather their expansion. Her restaurant had become more successful than ever, but more importantly, it had become a place where love could grow and flourish. Every dish she prepared now carried not just her skill and passion, but the joy of sharing her life's work with someone who truly understood its value. The building itself seemed to pulse with happiness, as if the walls had absorbed all the contentment within them. Their friends began to speak of them as a single entity, Tiana and Naveen, as if their names had naturally grown together. Like vines intertwining, invitations came addressed to both. Assumptions were made that where one went, the other would follow. Neither minded this gentle merging of their identities, finding comfort in being seen as part of something larger than themselves. The magic that had once seemed so dramatic and transformative in their lives had settled into something quieter, but no less powerful. It lived now in the way Tiana's laughter could chase away Naveen's occasional melancholy, in the way his presence could calm her most anxious moments. It resided in their shared silences, their synchronized breathing as they slept, the way they could communicate entire conversations with just a glance across a crowded room. As autumn deepened bringing with it the promise of cooler evenings and longer nights perfect for staying close together. Both Tiana and Naveen felt themselves settling into a rhythm that seemed as natural as breathing. The future stretched ahead of them, not as a series of goals to be achieved or adventures to be conquered, but as an endless succession of peaceful days and gentle nights, each one a small miracle of ordinary happiness. As winter approached, with its whisper-soft footsteps, the restaurant began to take on an even cozier atmosphere. Tiana had started lighting the old fireplace in the corner during the evening hours, its warm glow casting dancing shadows that transformed the familiar space into something almost magical. The scent of burning wood mixed with the aromas from the kitchen, creating an atmosphere so inviting that customers would linger long after their meals were finished, reluctant to leave the warmth for the cool night air outside. Naveen had developed a habit of reading to Tiana while she worked on her prep for the next day. He would sit in the chair beside the fireplace with a book of poetry or short stories, his voice creating a gentle soundtrack to her methodical chopping and seasoning. Sometimes, she would pause in her work to listen more closely to a particularly beautiful passage, her hands still for a moment as the words washed over her like a lullaby. These evening reading sessions had become sacred time for both of them, a bridge between the busy day and the peaceful night ahead. The first cold snap brought with it a flurry of activity as they prepared the restaurant for the changing season. Together, they hung heavier curtains at the windows, their fingers brushing as they adjusted the fabric to block the evening chill. Naveen proved surprisingly handy with small repairs, fixing a loose floorboard here, tightening a wobbly table there. His movements careful and deliberate, as if each task was an act of love for their shared space. Tiana introduced warmer dishes to the menu, hearty stews and rich soups that steamed invitingly in their bowls. She taught Naveen the art of making perfect cornbread, watching with gentle amusement as he struggled at first with the timing, his loaves emerging either too dense or too crumbly. But he persisted with the patience she had taught him, and soon his cornbread was earning compliments from customers who had no idea it wasn't made by Tiana herself. The garden required different attention now, and they spent peaceful mornings covering tender plants with protective cloth, harvesting the last herbs before the frost could claim them. Naveen learned to appreciate the cycle of seasons, the way some things needed to rest in order to bloom again more beautifully. He found parallels in his own life, understanding that his restless years had been necessary preparation for the stillness he now cherished. Their walks through the city took on a different character as the weather cooled. They would bundle up in warm coats and scarves, their breath visible in small puffs as they strolled through neighborhoods where Christmas lights were beginning to appear in windows. The city seemed to glow with anticipation, every corner promising some new discovery or familiar comfort. They would stop at the coffee cart near the cathedral, sharing a steaming cup between them, their gloved hands touching as they passed it, back and forth. One particularly quiet evening, as they sat by the fireplace, after closing, Tiana found herself studying Naveen's profile in the flickering light. He was focused on a book, his expression peaceful and content, completely absorbed in the story unfolding on the page. She realized that this was how she wanted to remember him, not in any grand moment of declaration or dramatic gesture, but in this simple, perfect stillness, surrounded by the warmth they had created together. The restaurant's holiday preparations began gradually, with small decorations appearing here and there. A wreath on the door, garland along the windows, candles that cast even warmer light than usual. Tiana had always loved this season, but sharing it with Naveen made every tradition feel renewed, every familiar joy deeper and more meaningful. They worked together to string lights around the dining room, their laughter mixing with the soft jazz playing from the old radio in the corner. Regular customers began bringing small gifts, homemade cookies or bottles of wine, tokens of appreciation for the haven Tiana and Naveen had created. The restaurant had become more than just a place to eat. It was a cornerstone of the community, a place where people felt safe to be themselves, to share their joys and sorrows, to connect with something larger than their individual lives. Both Tiana and Naveen felt the weight of this responsibility, but it was a welcome weight, like a warm blanket rather than a burden. Their evening conversations had grown to include dreams of the future, gentle speculation about how life might unfold. They spoke of expanding the restaurant, perhaps adding a few more tables, maybe offering cooking classes for those who wanted to learn Tiana's techniques. Naveen suggested they might travel together someday. Not the frantic globe hopping of his past, but slow, meaningful journeys to places where they could learn new recipes and bring fresh inspiration back to their kitchen. The first snow of the season fell on a Tuesday evening, soft flakes drifting past the restaurant windows like sleepy stars. They had closed early due to the weather and found themselves alone in their warm sanctuary, while the city outside grew quiet under its white blanket. Tiana made hot chocolate using her grandmother's recipe, rich and smooth with just a hint of cinnamon, while Naveen built up the fire until it crackled cheerfully in the hearth. They sat together on the small sofa they had moved closer to the fireplace, watching the snow accumulate on the windowsill. The silence between them was comfortable and complete, filled with the kind of peace that comes from being exactly where you belong. Naveen's arm was around Tiana's shoulders, her head resting in the hollow of his neck, where it seemed designed to fit. Neither felt the need to speak, both perfectly content to exist in this bubble of warmth and safety they had created. As the evening deepened and the snow continued its gentle dance outside, they found themselves growing drowsy in the firelight. The day's work was done. Tomorrow's challenges could wait, and for now, there was nothing in the world except this moment of perfect contentment. The fire began to settle into glowing embers, casting a softer light that seemed to encourage sleep, while outside, the snow muffled all sound until even the distant jazz from the quarter faded to whispers. Tiana's breathing had grown slow and even, her body relaxed completely against Naveen's side. He could feel his own eyelids growing heavy, the combination of warmth, comfort, and absolute peace, working better than any lullaby. The restaurant around them seemed to settle too, the old building sighing contentedly, as if it too was ready for rest after another day of serving its community with love and care. The snow continued to fall through the night, blanketing the city in pristine white that would sparkle like diamonds in tomorrow's sunshine. But inside the restaurant, two hearts beat in peaceful synchronization, their dreams intertwining like the jazz melodies that lived in the very walls around them. The fireplace glowed with the last warm embers of the evening, standing guard over their rest like a faithful friend, ensuring that morning would find them safe and warm in the sanctuary they had built together, from nothing more than patience, kindness, and the quiet magic of everyday love. In the morning, they would wake to a world transformed by snow, but unchanged in all the ways that mattered. The restaurant would still be their haven, their customers would still be their extended family, and the love growing between them would still be as steady and sure as the sunrise over the bayou. But for now, in this perfect moment, suspended between day and night, between waking and sleep, there was nothing but peace, warmth, and the gentle promise of all the tomorrows yet to come. To come, the gentle rhythm of snowfall continued through the night, creating a cocoon of tranquility around the restaurant that seemed to slow time itself. In the soft glow of dying embers, Tiana stirred slightly, her dreams filled with the warm scents of cinnamon and vanilla, the sound of gentle laughter, and the feeling of being completely, perfectly beside her. Naveen's sleep was equally peaceful, his dreams carrying him through sun-dappled gardens where every flower bloomed in its own perfect season. When morning light began to filter through the frost-touched windows, it revealed a world transformed. The familiar streets of their neighborhood had become something from a fairy tale, every surface softened by pristine white, every harsh edge made gentle by winter's tender touch. The restaurant itself seemed to glow from within, as if all the love and warmth contained in its walls had become visible in the early morning light. Tiana was the first to wake, her internal clock as reliable as ever, despite the magical quality of the snowy morning. She found herself still curled against Naveen's side, his arm still protective around her shoulders, and for a moment, she simply enjoyed the luxury of not moving, of existing in this perfect bubble of contentment. The fire had burned down to nothing but glowing ash, yet the room remained warm, heated by something more enduring than wood and flame. Slowly, carefully, so as not to disturb Naveen's peaceful sleep, she began to disentangle herself from his gentle embrace. But even in sleep, he seemed reluctant to let her go, his arm tightening slightly around her, as if his dreams knew she was trying to slip away. She paused, studying his face in the morning light, marveling at how young and untroubled he looked in sleep, all the small worries of daily life smoothed away by rest. Finally managing to rise, without waking him, Tiana padded softly to the kitchen, her bare feet silent on the worn wooden floors. The familiar ritual of making coffee took on an almost ceremonial quality in the hushed atmosphere created by the snow. Each movement was deliberate and peaceful, the grinding of beans, the heating of water, the gentle bubble and hiss of the brewing process, creating a symphony of morning sounds that seemed to honor the specialness of this day. The aroma of fresh coffee began to drift through the restaurant, and soon she heard the soft sounds of Naveen stirring in the dining room. His footsteps approached the kitchen slowly, still heavy with sleep, and when he appeared in the doorway, his hair was tousled, and his eyes still soft with dreams. The smile he gave her was like sunshine breaking through clouds, warm and bright and full of simple joy at finding her there, exactly where he had hoped she would be. They shared their morning coffee in comfortable silence, standing together at the kitchen window and watching the snow continue its gentle dance. The city was waking up slowly, a few early risers beginning to make their way carefully along the white, dusted sidewalks, their footprints creating the first marks in the pristine surface. Everything moved more slowly on snow days, as if the weather gave everyone permission to take their time, to savor the moments instead of rushing through them. The phone rang only once that morning, a regular customer calling to check if they would be open despite the weather. Tiana assured him that yes, they would open as usual, though perhaps a bit later than normal, to allow the streets to be cleared. The idea of staying closed hadn't even occurred to her. The restaurant was more than a business. It was a gathering place for their community, and on days like this, people would need the warmth and comfort it provided more than ever. Preparation for the day took on a different rhythm than usual. Every task was performed with extra care and attention, as if the snow had reminded them that ordinary moments were actually quite extraordinary when viewed through the proper lens. Naveen helped Tiana prepare a special soup for the snowy day, a rich blend of vegetables and herbs that would warm both body and spirit. They worked side by side, their movements creating a dance of domestic harmony that needed no music beyond the soft sounds of cooking. The first customers arrived just after noon, stamping snow from their boots and exclaiming over the beauty of the transformed city. Their faces were bright with the particular joy that comes from venturing out in unusual weather, the sense of adventure that even a simple trip to a familiar restaurant could provide when the world was dressed in white. Tiana and Naveen welcomed each arrival with extra warmth, understanding that on days like this, the restaurant served not just food, but comfort, community, and connection. Children pressed their faces against the frosted windows, their breath creating small clouds on the glass as they watched the snow continue to fall. Some customers lingered longer than usual, reluctant to leave the cozy atmosphere for the cold world outside. Conversations moved more slowly, laughter came more easily, and everyone seemed to understand, without being told, that this was a day for savoring rather than rushing. As afternoon melted into evening, the snow gradually stopped falling, leaving behind a world that sparkled like scattered diamonds in the lamplight. The restaurant had remained busy throughout the day, filled with neighbors and friends who had braved the weather to share in the warmth and fellowship that Tiana and Naveen provided. Now, as the last customer departed with promises to return soon, they found themselves alone again in their sanctuary. The cleaning up process was performed with the same gentle care that had marked the entire day. Every dish was washed with attention, every surface wiped with gratitude for another successful day of serving their community. The snow had brought something special to their routine, a sense of celebration that made even the mundane tasks feel meaningful. They worked together without need for words, their partnership so natural it seemed choreographed by forces beyond their understanding. When the restaurant was finally ready for the next day, they returned to their spot by the rebuilt fire, this time with bowls of the soup they had prepared earlier. The flavors were even richer than they had expected, the vegetables perfectly tender, the herbs blending in harmonies that seemed to capture the essence of the snowy day. They ate slowly, savoring each spoonful, discussing the day's customers, and sharing observations about how the weather had affected everyone's mood. The fire crackled cheerfully in the hearth, casting the same warm glow that had watched over their rest the night before. Outside, the city had settled into evening quiet, the snow-covered streets empty except for the occasional late walker, making their careful way home. Street lamps created pools of golden light that made the snow glow like fairy dust, transforming their familiar neighborhood into something magical and otherworldly. Tiana found herself thinking about cycles, the way winter prepared the earth for spring's eventual arrival, the way quiet times in life made the busy periods more meaningful. She understood now that love worked the same way. growing stronger during peaceful interludes like this, building reserves of joy and contentment that could sustain them through whatever challenges might come. The snow would melt, the busy pace of normal life would return, but this foundation of peace would remain. Naveen seemed lost in similar thoughts, his gaze moving between the fire and the snowy scene outside. He had learned to appreciate these moments of stillness, to recognize them as some of life's greatest treasures. The man who had once craved constant excitement and stimulation now found infinite richness in simple evenings like this, in the play of firelight on beloved walls, in the sound of Tiana's gentle breathing beside him. The evening stretched ahead of them like an unopened gift, full of possibility and promise. They might read together, or simply sit in comfortable silence, or find themselves drawn into one of their rambling conversations that could last for hours without covering any ground more exotic than their shared dreams and memories. Whatever they chose, it would be perfect simply because they were choosing it together, two hearts beating in harmony with the peaceful rhythm of their life. As the fire began to settle once again into glowing embers, and the snow outside took on the blue-white glow of moonlight, both Tiana and Naveen felt themselves being drawn once more toward sleep. The day had been full without being hurried, satisfying without being exhausting. The kind of day that leaves the heart full and the spirit refreshed. Tomorrow would bring its own joys and challenges, but tonight belonged entirely to rest, to dreams, and to the quiet magic of love that had transformed an ordinary restaurant into a palace, an ordinary day into a fairy tale, and two ordinary hearts into something extraordinary together. The last log settled in the fireplace with a soft whisper, sending a shower of golden sparks up the chimney like tiny shooting stars, carrying wishes into the night sky. The restaurant settled around them with the satisfied sighs of a building that had served its purpose well, sheltering not just bodies from the cold, but hearts from loneliness, souls from emptiness. In this haven they had created together, surrounded by the evidence of a day well lived and a love well tended, Tiana and Naveen drifted toward sleep once more, their dreams already beginning to weave together like melodies in a lullaby that would carry them safely through the night. The gentle embrace of sleep beckoned to them like an old friend returning after a long journey. As consciousness began to fade at the edges, Tiana's last coherent thought was of gratitude, a warm feeling that spread through her chest like honey dissolving in tea. The restaurant around them seemed to breathe with contentment, its walls holding the echoes of laughter from the day, the lingering warmth of conversations shared over steaming bowls, and cups of coffee that had grown cold as stories grew long. Naveen's dreams began before his eyes fully closed, visions of gardens where every season bloomed at once, where the vegetables grew in perfect rows, and the herbs released their fragrances with each gentle breeze. In his dream, he and Tiana worked side by side in endless twilight, their hands never tiring, their hearts never wanting for anything more than what they already possessed. The dream garden stretched beyond the horizon, but somehow it still felt intimate, personal, like a secret shared between two souls who had learned to speak the same silent language. Through the night, their dreams wove together, like threads in a tapestry. Neither had planned, but both somehow helped create. Tiana dreamed of cooking for thousands, but each dish was prepared with the same individual care she gave to every meal in her restaurant. The kitchen in her dream was vast, but somehow cozy, filled with the voices of family she had never met but recognized instantly. Generations of women who had stirred pots and kneaded bread and hummed lullabies while they worked. The snow outside continued its patient transformation of the world, each flake adding to the crystalline blanket that muffled sound and softened edges until everything seemed wrapped in whispered promises. Street lamps stood like sentinels in the white landscape, their golden light creating small islands of warmth in the cool blue darkness. The city slept deeply under its winter coverlet, dreaming its own dreams of spring flowers and summer festivals, of all the celebrations yet to come. Inside the restaurant, time moved differently, flowing like thick cream poured slowly into morning coffee. The fire had burned down to its heart, glowing coals that radiated warmth without flame, steady and reliable as heartbeats. The building itself seemed to settle deeper into contentment, its old wooden bones creaking occasionally in the cold, but never complaining, only sighing with the satisfaction of shelter well provided. Tiana's breathing had synchronized with Naveen's sometime during the early hours, their bodies instinctively finding the rhythm that would carry them most peacefully through the night. Her head had found its way to his shoulder again, as if drawn by invisible threads, and his arm had curved around her with the naturalness of water finding its proper course. They looked like they had been carved from the same piece of wood by an artist who understood that some things were meant to exist together. The restaurant's familiar sounds provided a gentle symphony for their rest. The old radiator hummed its ancient song, pipes expanding and contracting with tiny metallic whispers. The refrigerator in the kitchen cycled on and off with mechanical regularity, its modern efficiency somehow harmonizing with the building's older rhythms. Even the settling of snow on the roof above created its own subtle percussion, a soft patter that spoke of protection and peace. Their dreams began to include each other now, not as visitors, but as permanent residents in landscapes of shared imagination. Naveen found himself cooking alongside Tiana in kitchens that spanned decades, sometimes in the familiar space they knew so well, sometimes in places that existed only in the realm of sleep. He watched her hands move with dream logic perfection, creating dishes that satisfied hungers he hadn't known existed, feeding not just bodies, but souls, not just individuals, but entire communities that stretched beyond the horizon. Tiana dreamed of traveling with Naveen, but their journeys moved at the pace of seasons rather than schedules. They walked through markets that smelled of spices from around the world, their fingers intertwined as they discovered flavors that would find their way into future meals. In her dreams, every new place they visited became instantly familiar, as if their love created a portable sense of home that traveled with them wherever they went. The snow began to slow as midnight approached, each flake taking more time to fall, as if the sky itself was growing drowsy. The city's few remaining lights twinkled like earthbound stars, creating a mirror image of the heavens above. In houses throughout the neighborhood, families slept safely in their beds, many of them dreaming of the warmth they had found earlier that day in Tiana and Naveen's restaurant, carrying that comfort into their own peaceful nights. Children in nearby homes dreamed of snow angels and sledding, their unconscious minds already planning tomorrow's adventures in the transformed landscape. Parents dreamed of the way their children's faces had lit up at the first sight of falling snow, of hot chocolate shared around kitchen tables, of the particular magic that winter brings to ordinary days. The entire neighborhood seemed wrapped in dreams of warmth and connection, as if the love radiating from the restaurant had spread like ripples in a pond, touching every heart within its reach. As the night deepened toward its quietest hour, both Tiana and Naveen found themselves dreaming of music, not the jazz that usually filled their waking hours, but something softer, more intimate, lullabies that had never been written, but somehow existed in the space between their heartbeats, melodies that spoke of home and belonging, of finding your place in the world and recognizing it not by sight, but by the feeling of absolute rightness that settles in your chest like a contented cat. The fire had burned down to nothing but warmth now, its light replaced by the gentle glow of snow, reflecting street lamps through frost-touched windows. The restaurant felt suspended in time, existing in that magical space between today and tomorrow, between winter and the promise of spring, between the love that was and the love that would continue to grow with each passing season. Their bodies had found the perfect temperature beneath the soft blanket someone had thoughtfully draped over them. Neither too warm nor too cool, but exactly right for the deepest, most restorative sleep. Their faces in the dim light looked years younger, all the small stresses of daily life smoothed away by dreams and contentment. They appeared not just as individuals who had found each other, but as two parts of a whole that had always existed, just waiting for the right moment to come together. Outside, the last few snowflakes drifted down like sleepy thoughts, each one unique, but part of the greater pattern that had transformed their world into something worthy of fairy tales. The silence was so complete, it seemed to have substance, wrapping around the building like another layer of insulation, protecting not just from cold, but from anything that might disturb the perfect peace within. As the clock somewhere in the distance chimed the late hour, neither Tiana nor Naveen stirred. Their dreams had carried them to a place beyond time, where tomorrow was always a promise and yesterday was always a treasure, where love grew like flowers in an eternal spring, blooming fresh each morning regardless of the season outside. In this place of dreams, their restaurant served not just food, but joy itself, and every customer who entered left not just satisfied, but somehow transformed, carrying a little piece of the magic they had found there, out into a world that needed all the love it could gather. The snow settled into its final configuration for the night, creating a landscape that would greet them with pristine beauty when morning came. But for now, in the deepest part of the night, when even the city's heartbeat slowed to match the rhythm of peaceful sleep, there was nothing but rest, nothing but dreams, nothing but the quiet miracle of two hearts beating in perfect synchronization, creating their own music in the darkness, their own warmth in the cold, their own light in a world made new by snow and love, and the endless possibility of tomorrow's gentle awakening. Evening, the first light of dawn, began its slow dance across the snow-covered city, painting the white landscape in shades of pearl and rose gold. The sunrise came gently, as if understanding that this was a morning for soft awakenings, for the gradual transition from dreams to waking that feels more like floating than falling. Through the restaurant windows, the light filtered like watercolors bleeding into clean paper, creating patterns on the walls that shifted and changed with each passing cloud. Tiana stirred first, her body naturally responding to the light even before her mind, fully grasped that morning, had arrived. In that drowsy space between sleep and consciousness, she felt the profound contentment that comes from rest so complete it feels like a gift. Her dreams had been filled with warmth and music, with the faces of friends and family, both real and imagined, with gardens that bloomed in impossible colors under skies that never knew storms. The restaurant around them wore the morning light like a beautiful gown, every familiar surface transformed by the combination of fresh snow outside and golden sunshine streaming through frost-etched windows. Dust motes danced in the light beams like tiny fairies celebrating the new day, and even the ordinary wooden tables seemed to glow with their own inner warmth. The building itself felt refreshed by the night's rest, ready to welcome another day of service with renewed energy. Naveen's awakening came as gradually as sunrise itself, consciousness returning in gentle waves rather than sudden awareness. His dreams had been adventures in kindness, journeys through landscapes where every stranger became a friend, where every meal shared created bonds that transcended language and culture. Even in sleep, his face had worn the expression of someone who had found exactly where he belonged, whose searching days were behind him, and whose settling days stretched ahead like a peaceful river flowing toward the sea. Together, they rose from their makeshift bed by the fireplace, their movements slow and unhurried, reluctant to break the spell of perfect peace that had carried them through the night. The morning air in the restaurant was crisp, but not cold, touched with the sense of yesterday's cooking and the clean freshness that snow brings to the world. Everything felt new and familiar at once, like returning to a beloved childhood home after years of traveling. Their morning routine took on the quality of a sacred ritual, each small task performed with extra attention and care. Making coffee became a meditation on gratitude, the grinding of beans a prayer of thanksgiving for simple pleasures. The sound of water heating was like a gentle song welcoming the day, and the first fragrant sip tasted of all the mornings yet to come, all the quiet moments of contentment that stretched ahead of them like an unwritten book full of beautiful pages. The snow had stopped completely during the night, leaving behind a world so pristine it looked like it had been created fresh that very morning. Every tree branch wore a perfect coating of white. Every fence post had been crowned with a small cap of snow, and the streets looked like pages from a storybook where only happy endings were allowed. The sight filled them both with the particular joy that comes from witnessing natural beauty, the sense that they were privileged observers of something magical and fleeting. Their first customers arrived earlier than expected, drawn perhaps by the same sense of wonder that had touched everything in the snow-transformed city. These early visitors came stamping their feet and exclaiming over the beauty of the morning, their faces bright with the excitement that unusual weather brings to ordinary routines. They settled at their tables with extra appreciation, understanding, without being told, that today's meal would be more than sustenance. It would be participation in something special. The kitchen came alive with its familiar symphony of preparation. But even these everyday sounds seemed different in the snow-bright morning. The sizzle of onions in hot oil sounded like applause, the bubble of simmering soup like contented laughter, the rhythmic chopping of vegetables like a percussion section, keeping time for the day's performance. Tiana moved through her domain with the grace of someone who had found her true calling, while Naveen supported her efforts with the dedication of someone who understood that love was best expressed through service. Children pressed their faces against the windows throughout the morning, their breath creating temporary art on the cold glass as they watched the magical world outside. Some customers brought their little ones inside, and the restaurant filled with the particular energy that children bring to any space, a sense of wonder and possibility that reminded the adults of what it felt like to believe in magic. The young ones gravitated naturally toward Tiana and Naveen, sensing the kindness that radiated from them, like warmth from a well-tended fire. Conversations throughout the dining room moved at a different pace than usual, unhurried and thoughtful, as if the snow had given everyone permission to slow down and savor their interactions. Laughter came more easily, stories were told with extra detail, and even strangers found themselves sharing tables and discovering unexpected connections. The restaurant became a temporary community center, a place where the magic of the snowy morning could be shared and multiplied among friends and neighbors. As the day progressed and the sun climbed higher in the crystal clear sky, the snow began its inevitable transformation. Icicles formed along the restaurant's eaves, catching the light like natural chandeliers. The sidewalks started showing patches of dark pavement where foot traffic had worn through the white coating. But somehow, these signs of returning normalcy only made the remaining snow seem more precious, more worthy of appreciation while it lasted. And so our gentle journey through the bayous of love comes to its peaceful close, like the last notes of a jazz lullaby fading into the warm Louisiana night. We've watched Tiana and Naveen discover that the most beautiful magic isn't found in grand gestures or fairy tale transformations, but in the quiet moments shared between two hearts that have learned to beat in harmony. Their story reminds us that love grows best in the soil of patience, kindness, and the simple joy of creating something beautiful together. As you drift toward your own peaceful dreams tonight, may you carry with you the warmth of their restaurant, the contentment of their snow-covered morning, and the gentle promise that tomorrow will bring new opportunities for connection, gratitude, and love. Sweet dreams.